Hi, my name is Ren. I work at the Oakdale Library and I'm super excited to be sharing this story with you today. We miss seeing patrons, so I hope you all enjoy this and that you're all doing well. I'm going to be sharing a story about Giants Causeway, which is a rock formation in Northern Ireland. It's interlocking hexagonal shaped rocks. They form huge columns and they're also just in the ocean here. They're very super cool, and this is a story about the legend, the Irish legend of how they were formed. Hope you enjoy it. Off the coast of Northern Ireland, there is a gathering of hexagonal interlocking rock columns called Giants Causeway. These columns go all the way from the tip of Northern Ireland to the western coast of Scotland, and they are in the ocean and on land and go all the way through. There are some who will tell you that these rock formations were created by volcanoes. Many years ago, the island was on fire, lava was spewing everywhere until eventually it wasn't. The rocks had time to chill and to crack into the incredible formations that we can see today. Others will tell you that Giants Causeway was built by, well, giants. A long, long time ago in Northern Ireland, there lived a giant named Finn McCool. He was a peaceful and kind giant. He took care of his land and of his people, but he was also very proud, and he wasn't the only giant. In Scotland, there lived a giant named Benadonner. The name itself literally means mountain of thunder, and Benadonner could not be described as kind. Finn and Benadonner had never met. They'd actually never even seen each other. Their lands were too far apart and the ocean that divided them was too difficult to cross, but they could hear each other. Each and every day, as Finn went about his business, he could hear Benadonner shouting across the sea, threatening, mocking, and challenging him to a duel for the land of Ireland. Now, being the proud giant that he is, Finn quickly grew tired of Benadonner's shouting. One day he decided, all right, that's it, I've had enough, I'm going to find a way over there and I'm going to settle this once and for all. So he set to work. He heaved huge columns of rock and set them into the ocean with the crash of the waves. He built a bridge. Once it was finished, he walked proudly across it, ready to tell Benadonner that there was no one who could challenge him for his land or for his people. He walked across the bridge and placed his feet firmly on the land once he got there. And he looked up. And he noticed there was something tall right in front of him, and he kept looking up, and he realized that that tall thing in front of him was Benadonner, and he was looking at his back. He looked at the giant, and he took a deep breath, and he looked up again, and he turned and he ran away back to Ireland, but not before Benadonner, with his enormous ears, heard the pitter-patter of little feet fleeing, and he turned around and he saw Finn McCool running back to Ireland. Now Finn, he ran and he ran and he ran until he reached his home and he found his wife Una. She was cooking griddle cakes for the two of them. He told her what had happened, what he had seen, and he said, Una, we have to pack up our things, we have to leave before Benadonner finds us. Now, while Finn is great in strength, Una is clever. She took in what her husband had told her and she thought for a moment and she said, no, we're not going anywhere. I have a plan. She held up a bonnet that belonged to their child who was sleeping in the next room, and she told Finn, put this on and go sleep in the cradle. Finn looked at his wife. Excuse me? He said, did you not hear anything I just said? He will squash me flatter than the griddle cakes you're cooking. Una said, I have a plan, just listen to me. Fine, Finn said, and he unconvincingly put on the bonnet and walked over to the cradle, squeezed himself in, and his limbs dangled from the sides. Una went back to work on her griddle cakes, now hiding griddle irons in the batter that she was cooking for some of them. Then, after a few moments, she hears the heavy stomp, stomp, stomp of feet walking across the land and the heavy bang, bang, bang of a fist knocking on the door, and this familiar shout of, Finn McCool, you coward. Una went over to the door and she opened it. She looked up, and she looked up some more, and she saw Benadonner scowling down at her holding a huge club. I am here to challenge Finn McCool to a duel, he shouted. Oh, I'm so sorry. Was he expecting you? He's out in the fields right now, but he should be back soon. Would you like to come inside? Benadonner scowled deeper. Fine, he said, and he hunched over and he followed Una into the home. The first thing he saw was Finn with his bonnet, pretending to be asleep, his limbs dangling out of the cradle. Is this the son of Finn McCool? He asks. Oh yes, that's our little one, said Una. Benadonner looked at the cradle, and he looked back at Una. And he looked at the cradle again, with Finn's limbs just sprawling out of it. Little. He looks to be the hardy lad to me, said Benadonner. Una said, oh, well, he's just the size his father was at that age. I mean, if you can imagine Finn ever being that small. I guess if he's big for his age, I hadn't noticed. I'm just so used to seeing him cradled in my husband's enormous arms. So I didn't really notice. And oh, look at the time. Finn should be back any moment. Benadonner was growing increasingly nervous. If this was the size of the son, how big was the father? He didn't want to appear weak, though, so he just nodded and said, all right. At this time, the griddle cakes were done cooking, and Una offered some to Benadonner. He thought, maybe eating a meal will help me get my strength up, so he accepted. Una was careful to hand Benadonner the griddle cakes that had the irons hidden inside. He took one bite and then immediately grabbed his face in pain. Several of his teeth had broken. Oh, said Una, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize he had such delicate teeth. This is my husband's favorite meal. In fact, even our baby loves them. She made a show of walking a griddle cake over to Finn, gently waking him and giving him the griddle cake to eat, which he ate happily. At this point, Benadonner had seen enough. If this was the size and strength of the son, he no longer had any interest in challenging Finn McCool to a battle. He leapt up from the table, grabbed his club, still holding his mouth in pain, and he rushed out. He ran across the land, and once he got to the bridge, he started smashing at this bridge with his club. He did not want to make it easy for Finn McCool to follow him, but he left a bunch of columns of rocks in his wake. Finn was, of course, relieved that Una's plan had worked, but he was pretty upset to hear all of the hard work he had put into building the bridge being destroyed by Benadonner. He ran out after him and watched as the giant smashed the stones with his club. He looked down beside him and saw the land, and he gouged out a huge piece and threw it at the giant. It hurtled through the air, missing Benadonner, and fell into the ocean with a crash. It's now called the Isle of Man. Gouging out the land, it left a hole in the earth that has since been filled up entirely with water. It's called Loch Ness, and it's the largest inland waterway in the United Kingdom. Now, many may think that the first story, the one with the volcanoes, is truly how Giants Causeway came to be. Where are the giants, they ask. But if you visit Northern Ireland, you won't see any volcanoes. And if you look at a map and compare the size and shape of Loch Ness and the size and shape of the Isle of Man, you might see how they could have one day fit together. The end. Thank you so much for watching this video and listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, we are super looking forward to one day when we're able to see patrons again, and I hope you're all doing well. Thank you.